Welcome to Lit&Bruised, an Atlanta literary podcast. I'm Matt DeBenedictis.
And I'm John Carroll. On this episode of Lit&Bruised, we have Leesa Cross-Smith as our guest. And we brought her on the show to really discuss her new book, Whiskey and Ribbons, which we did talk about, but we also spoke about Kentucky quite a bit, didn't we, Matt?
And malls.
And malls, yeah. And music from the 90s and guilty pleasures, if you'd even call them that.
There's no such thing as guilty pleasures.
I would have to agree with you.
Yeah.
But this is a wonderful episode, so definitely listen through the whole thing. Leesa is wonderful. Such a treat to have on the show.
Our first non-Atlanta author to have on.
And she was from Kentucky, so it makes it even better.
Yeah.
So she was awesome. So definitely tune in and stay on the line the whole entire episode. Also, check out Transgression. Second Start of the Right, Hook's Revenge. It is the show that I work on with Laura Relier and Elizabeth Jarrett, and we are doing our last 3 shows on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday at the former Dante's Down the Hatch and Underground Atlanta. Look on the blog post for the link to get tickets. You definitely don't want to miss this. It is the epic conclusion of our 3-part Peter Pan series. All kinds of good stuff. Hook versus Pan, sword fighting, pirate ships. Don't miss it.
We hope you enjoy the episode.
Matt, I am really excited about this episode.
Good.
You booked it, and I had no idea who the hell our guest was. I was like, who is this? And then, 2 weeks later, her name just started blowing up on the internet. I was like, all right, well, great choice. This is cool. But before that, even, I was just excited because you're like, hey, we've booked a writer from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And I grew up in Kentucky.
You did. I mean, I think you've spoken about it on the podcast maybe twice.
Only twice? Are you being facetious?
A little bit. I mean, maybe twice if we're only counting you talking about serial killers in Kentucky.
Sure. Well, I think that I've talked about Kentucky less than my parents' divorce. But maybe it's a few...
It's close.
It's close. But, we're just going to bring it home because we're not going to have a divorce episode. So we're definitely... But we're having a very, very strong Kentucky episode. Matt, I know you grew up in Ohio and you're from there. Did you ever spend any time in Kentucky?
Actually, no.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a
Went
shame.
to Indiana a bunch of times. Never Kentucky.
Indiana's okay.
No, it's not.
I mean, Vonnegut was from there. They got Hoosiers basketball. Hoosiers is a great film.
And they just got fields.
Fields. Lots and lots of fields. You had Reggie Miller. Are you familiar with who Reggie Miller is?
I am, as a name.
He was my favorite basketball player when I was a kid because growing up in northern Kentucky, right outside of Cincinnati, we did not have a basketball team. So, college basketball was everywhere, but you didn't have the NBA. Mm-mm. And I loved NBA, and I felt like I was too much of a bandwagon to really root for Chicago with Jordan, even though Jordan was my favorite. And everybody just kind of rooted for Jordan and the Bulls in the 90s. Like, you just kind of couldn't help it,
Yeah.
But I said, hey, whatever the closest city that has an NBA team, that's going to be my team. And so I picked Indiana. And then I fell in love with Reggie Miller, who's basically just a shit-talking, clutch-shooting three-point guy. I mean, he was amazing and he was great, but they never won anything.
See, I always picked basketball teams when I was younger based on, how cool the uniforms looked.
The Pacers definitely were Indiana Pacers were the bottom rung uniforms. I mean, they had they kind of looked like race cars because that's
yellow.
what they were. Yeah, the yellow and blue and white. But I mean, they wore it well.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually have a Reggie Miller jersey.
Wow.
In my closet that I had when I was 14. I haven't gotten rid of it. It just hangs in there. Every once in a while I see it next to my Pistol Pete Maravich jersey.
Wow.
My favorite basketball player of all time. Sorry, here, I'm not going to feel bad because Kentucky is about basketball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bourbon, horse racing, bluegrass, banjos, basketball, lots of B words. So I hope one day, Matt, that you and I can maybe even go to Kentucky together.
If I went to Kentucky with you, what would be a place that you would take me to have a Kentucky experience?
Ooh, I would take, what we would try to do? And I wouldn't make you be the DD, but maybe just hit some of the spots on the Bourbon Trail. And, which I went to a lot of these places when I was a kid on field trips, places like Bardstown, Kentucky. And
it's like Bourbon Trail. So what is it like?
All these stops Leesa, explain the bourbon trail a little bit for us.
They're really beautiful. The distilleries are so beautiful because they have to be by a lot of water in order to make what we're making. And then they need huge places, so they're set out in these parts of the country that you would normally never see. So the thing about the distilleries is that they're so beautiful. And so we go to Maker's Mark at Christmas and they decorate for Christmas. We went for our anniversary and they did this big thing for they're really homey. Wow. And these places are beautiful. We're talking about millions and millions and millions of dollars that they have out there. So so they do this whole thing where you go on the Bourbon Trail, you go to each one and you get a stamp. And then at the end, you get a T-shirt or something. So they make it this real thing. So it's they'll have buses that take bachelor parties and bachelorette parties. And so they've made it this whole thing. And so people come from all around to go. And they're close to us. I still haven't been to all of them. And they have some in the city now, too. So, yeah, it's really taken over.
You were such a great resource for this. I was like, I know a little bit about it, but I couldn't drink when I lived there. So, well, Matt, why don't you go ahead and intro our guest, since I just brought her into the conversation because I needed your expertise.
Well, there you go.
Yeah. Maybe I'll take you to Ohio at some point, and I'll take you to a burned down barn.
Take me to Cleveland. I mean, I've been to Ohio a good bit. I mean, I lived across the river from Cincinnati.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of time. I know Cincinnati is kind of the least Ohio city.
Yeah. Cincinnati's something all its own.
It is definitely something all its own. And I like the disdain and disgust in my voice when I say it. I liked Cincinnati. It was okay.
I don't know. Every time I went to Cincinnati, I got into a street fight.
That's amazing.
But I got some Kool-Aid at a diner afterwards, so...
I mean, you got Skyline chili.
Exactly.
I mean, they have those in Kentucky too, but it tastes better in Cincinnati. It tastes grimier. Yeah. It tastes more real.
Cincinnati-like.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll jump into this. We're so excited to have Leesa Cross-Smith. She is from Kentucky, as everyone knows now.
Hell yeah.
She is our first non-Atlanta guest, but we couldn't resist having her on. She is on tour right now for her debut novel, Whiskey and Ribbons. She also wrote the amazing collection, Every Kiss a War. Welcome to the show, Leesa.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, especially because I'm a Kentuckian. Thank you for having a Kentucky on the show. I feel super honored.
We're just happy to have you. I don't think anybody else from Kentucky has ever been in my living room. So it's kind of other than people my family. So I'm oh, sweet.
Well, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think I realized how excited I was until you got here. And we started talking, and I was oh, shit, this person, you know more about Kentucky than I do. You've lived there longer. I had to call on you for help on the Bourbon Trail, so.
I really dig in, And so I wrote a piece on Sturgill Simpson for the Oxford American, the Kentucky music issue. And so being asked to do that was such a dream for me because I get to dig in on Kentucky, and my husband and I go all in on KET, the Kentucky Education Channel, Kentucky Education Television. And we will watch that stuff at night where they go to into the caves and they talk about Kentucky history. I don't know. It was about 10 years ago, we just decided that we wanted to sort of be Kentucky scholars. So then when we weren't traveling that much out of the state when our kids were so tiny. So whenever we travel, we would stay in Kentucky and just go and check out all the stuff that they have around there, which is, it's just really cool to explore your own state like that. So especially in the publishing biz, like I was saying before, there's so much talk about, the Midwest kind of in general. And then there's talk about, what we have Seattle and Portland, and then people talk about New York. But I'm so proud to rep Kentucky because I think it is such a cool, strange, important little commonwealth because Abe Lincoln's from there, Muhammad Ali, there is something really amazing going on there.
It feels like Kentucky's been getting kind of a higher stock lately.
Yeah, well, and the bourbon, the bourbon thing really takes off, and I think people are it's. I think they see that it's interesting, and not just for the jokes that they like to do about Kentucky.
Yeah. There's so much culture there, and we were talking before we hit play on the recording, but growing up there, I just was like, man, I live in Kentucky.
Right.
What the fuck? And really at that, being in northern Kentucky, I really wanted to be from like Cincinnati.
Yeah, sure.
Like, that's a city.
It's so close, yeah.
It's the Cincinnati Reds and, whatever that's associated with.
They have stuff.
There's something to there's something to like rep. I mean, I grew up in Florence, which has the Florence
YALL water tower. There you go.
That's what you get to rep when you're from Florence.
Yeah.
You're like, people are like, hey, where'd you grow up? I'm like, Florence. And they're like, Florence YALL.
It's the first thing I said to you when you said
it was because it's the if you're not familiar, Florence has a water tower that sits right alongside I-75, and it says Florence YALL.
It absolutely says
And
Florence YALL.
There's a Florence YALL festival that I used to go to when I was a kid.
I had no idea.
And do you know the story behind the Florence YALL?
No, I do not.
The water
Please
tower?
tell me.
So, this is ridiculous. I remember thinking this was ridiculous when my mom told me about it when I was like 9.
Okay.
So, they were building the Florence Mall in the late 70s. And they had a water tower that was already there. And they thought, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and write Florence Mall on this water tower. Oh. Just a little advertisement. Hey, the mall is coming.
Yeah.
J.C. Penney right around the corner. And people started complaining that it was false advertisement because the mall hadn't been built yet.
Oh.
So, they couldn't just drive by and like look over and just be like, oh yeah, there's just a hole in the ground there. They just got mad, so they complained. So I guess the mayor or whoever's in charge of the water towers there, they said, well shit, what are we gonna do? And someone had a bright idea of, hey,
some genius.
Yeah, hey, Florence YALL. You don't even have to really add anything. You just change the Y to an M and add an apostrophe mark.
Yeah.
So they threw that thing up there, and then they never changed it.
Oh.
And the mall's been there for 30 years at this point.
I was hoping you were going to be like, they just never built the mall.
They did.
They never built the mall. Hey, if they didn't build the mall, there'd be nothing to do in Florence.
Yeah, that's true. I
go back to Florence, to see my grandma every few years, and it's just like you're bored, and you're like, well, you want to go to the mall?
Yeah.
Walk around, do a couple laps, hit the food court, maybe pick up some Chick-fil-A.
Oh, that's cute.
They got the Sbarro still,
Whoa.
At least they used to. I haven't been there in a while. So
Yeah, I haven't either. It's probably been about 10 years.
Have you been to the Florence Mall?
I have. Absolutely. I've been to the
shit.
Florence. Yeah, I've been to the Florence Mall. I used to drive up there just to shop at one of the places, but I can't remember the name of the place now. But I used to drive from Louisville up there just to like go shop, and then I'd drive back.
So it was a pretty decent mall.
It was a really great mall.
Yeah.
Florence, y'all.
Well, this is like turned into like an advertisement. I'm gonna like tweet.
Maybe we could
this
sell that for
episode.
sponsoring.
It's true.
Yeah.
And what's interesting too, because I'm assuming we're all kind of like around the same age, and it's just like that mall culture that we saw was so important to us.
A lot of firsts happened at the mall.
And now it's gone.
Yeah.
Like now it's gone, and my kids like I don't know. We go to the mall not even once a year. Like I avoid it, and they'll be like, "We want to go to a mall. Like what's a mall?" And I'm like, it's hard to explain because they're not the same anymore. But like it used to be. Everything happened at the mall. Everything.
Yeah.
I went to my first one of my first dates with my first boyfriend, my first real boyfriend. We went to the mall. You know what I mean? Like all the movies were at the mall. So it's like we went to the mall. We went to the movies at the mall, and I just got this sample of this perfume because it was like. On the description, it was like, it smells like the mall. And it does. It smells like the mall. And it's like, in general, you would be like, what's the mall smell like? But I smelled it, and I was like, it totally smells like the mall.
I imagine the mall smelling like a combination of like Bath and Body Works, a dingy arcade, and like fast food.
Not fast food. Orange Julius.
Oh, Orange Julius.
Aww.
Yeah, man. See, and if you're listening and you're like under the age of 25, which I doubt anyone under the age of 25 is listening to this podcast. They're probably like, what the hell is that? I hope this recording lasts forever.
It smells like you smell it here. It smells like
that smell,
yeah, it smells like the perfume, like the perfume like a department store. Yeah, that's what it is. It kind of smells like a department.
First walk
and there's
in
like
from the common
20
area.
perfume. Yeah. But it was funny the way they described it because I was like, oh, what a sweet description. And some people were instantly like, oh, no, who wants to smell like the mall? And I'm like, I do. I want to smell like the 90s mall.
Yeah.
Like,
my first prank calls were at the mall. Because I'd go to the payphone in front of a store and I would prank the person at the store so I could watch them freaking out.
were you a bad boy then?
I was a little mischievous.
Matt was an asshole. I didn't even know Matt then, but I met Matt in his early 20s, and he was a dick then. Matt is like wine, though. Like, every year he becomes
Matt is
more
like
fine.
wine. Oh,
I just relaxed.
That is such a sweet thing to say about your friend.
Well, we've known each other a while.
I like that, though.
We used to be roommates.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's
Yeah.
interesting, honestly, because in my book, I talk about two men who are just best friends, and they just love each other. And it's like, it interests me to write about men who just love each other, who are just friends and love each other deeply. So, like, I love men who are, like, unabashed about that. And my husband's like that with his friends. Like, you just love your friends. You're like, I know, I've seen them grow.
Yeah.
I've seen them bloom.
Yeah, been there through the thick and thin.
I think that's really
Definitely,
beautiful.
yeah.
You stood by me when I was an asshole. I stood by you when you were an asshole.
I was an asshole too. Let's definitely. Thanks for bringing that up, though, Matt. Honestly,
I will.
Honestly, though, there is something to that. Like, you didn't want to come over to our house. You probably were going to get made fun of or be like out cooled. I don't know. I just made that word up. Like, we'd just be like, judge your music. And meanwhile, we were judging each other.
Sure.
Like, oh, you like Buffy the Vampire Slayer, huh?
Yeah.
But you don't like this show? I don't know about that.
Oh, and then you guys didn't do any research on the music that I like because you would not let me step foot into here.
Oh, no.
no.
We're way chill now about that. What do you, I mean, you're wearing an Avid Brothers shirt.
Yeah, well, no, this is the thing I do, okay? I listen to a lot of music that people judge a lot.
Oh, throw that out there. Come on.
But I like so much good music, and I get invited to do, like, really cool things, and I write about, like, highly respected artist that you really can't judge me for the other music I listen to, because then I am wearing Avid, I wear Avid Brothers. I have good taste, like, I know what's up.
Yeah.
But then I will sometimes listen to, like, Florida Georgia Line. I like some of their songs.
Shit.
I know you wouldn't even let me in here. I love country. Like, I like Jason Aldean and Kit Moore, and
So you like pop country.
I like pop country. But
Yeah.
see, I wrote the Oxford American cover story on Sturgill Simpson.
Yeah.
So see, no one, you know what I mean? And I know
Totally.
my country music. Like, but then I like kind of everything. And like, I kind of will say it, like, I am sort of a lover. Like, I'm just not a hater. I like all kinds of music. Like, I could talk to you about The Clash. I can talk to you about Ray Charles. I can talk to you. Like, I like everything.
That's what's really great. And like you brought up the Sturgill piece. One thing I really loved about that was how so much of it was about being genreless.
Yeah.
And I think that's important in taste as well, too. Not to get sucked into, I'm just with this.
I just like good music. But I will say I like fun music too. So I hear Florida Georgia Line and Nelly, and I'm like, oh, this song is fun. I don't think about it real hard. I don't. Now, if someone's like, what do you think about this? Are they objectifying women? I'm like, I'm not thinking about it. It came on, and I was like, oh, this is cute. I don't think about it that hard either. Like, I'm not claiming to. Yeah. But people would not let me into their homes if they knew how much I liked bro country. So I knew that you guys didn't know that, and I'm glad that you're letting me stay.
It's funny to talk about Sturgill, and I'll take this down a path. Is I got into Sturgill a couple of years ago because I got obsessed with classic country music in my 20s. That was kind of a part of accepting my heritage of being from Kentucky.
Absolutely.
And I got really into. My dog's name is Jolene. I almost named her Loretta, but I was like, she's a puppy and she's a heartbreaker.
See, the woman in my book, her name is Loretta.
Oh,
so that's a queen. If
I ever rescue like an older dog, Loretta's going there,
and that's a queen. I mean, she's just a queen.
And she's my favorite country music singer.
Yeah,
is Loretta
absolutely.
Lynn. But I came up to this thing in my late 20s. I realized that I did realize that I was an asshole. And I realized that being pretentious wasn't cool, because what happens when you're pretentious is that you're sitting there judging everyone else having fun, and you're not having fun.
Yeah.
You're sitting there going, you like Florida Georgia Line. Oh, you're lame, while you party with your 10 friends dancing around to Florida Georgia Line while I sit over here.
And you're mad because they're on. Yeah.
And so when I hit about 30, I was like, you know what, man? If it makes you happy, that is awesome. Yeah. And I love that. I mean, I was joking with somebody the other day. Pop singers came up, and they were like, oh, I like this pop song. Yeah. It was on Spotify. It was a playlist called songs to sing in the car. It was just like terrible music, right? But it was all pop music. and like a Katy Perry song. And it was a Taylor Swift.
I love Katy Perry.
Taylor
I love Taylor
Swift
Swift.
came on.
I love Justin Bieber. I love Ed Sheeran. Like, I'm a lover. I really do. Their songs are cute. Yeah.
Well, I was sitting there, giving some shit. I was like, come on. But then I said, I knew where I was going with this. And I said, you want to know who my favorite pop star is? And they were like, yeah, who is it? And I said, I'm going to play you my favorite song. And it was Miley Cyrus's We Won't Stop, or We Don't Stop.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That song is so stupid, but I love it.
It's a good song.
It's great. And then she quotes like old 90s rap lyrics.
Yeah,
in it,
yeah.
which you look at it and you're like, come on, what are you doing? But I can't help that I like it.
See, it's a good. I feel the same way about Party in the USA. I mean, that is a bop. Every time Miley Cyrus Party in the USA, I'm like, this song is good. But I mean, I like NSYNC. I really am like a lover.
Just let it all hang out.
I do. I love boy bands. Like, I'm telling you guys wouldn't let me in here, but thank you.
You're welcome. Well, Matt, I gotta know who Matt's favorite. If you had to pick a pop star from the last like 15 years, you're like, this is the one I'm going with. Who you rolling with?
Ooh. See, I was hoping you weren't going to go with a years on it, because then I was just going to be like Neil fucking Diamond. But
yeah, we're going like boy bands, like
okay,
but we're not letting you go with Madonna.
First two Britney
Madonna's
Spears albums.
Hey man,
those are great songs.
Those are good songs. I mean, I don't think "Toxic" was on the first two records, but that song was awesome.
No, that was on the second.
Somebody like on Twitter was like, "Toxic" by Britney Spears is better than anything the Beatles ever did." And even just saying that, people will get so mad. But I'm like, it's funny, and I'm like, plus it's a good song. Plus the Beatles make pop music. Everyone it's like kids music. It really is. And also, I am black for people who are listening, so I can say whatever I want about the Beatles. That's one thing. I am not beholden to this whatever. Like I can say whatever.
Yeah.
Same with Radiohead and Arcade Fire.
Huge music snob, just ridicule people to tears based on what they're listening to.
Okay.
One of the things that really changed me, and also kind of ties in with Britney Spears, was the kind of indie rock dance band Dismemberment Plan. Mm-hmm. And they would just be playing one of their songs, and then they would just go into like Britney Spears songs.
Yeah.
And they would defend it to the crowd.
Yeah.
And they were like, no. And they like started comparing like the song structure between a Britney Spears song and then how that's constructed to a Marvin Gaye song.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was just like, okay, now I get it.
Well,
now.
see, and a good example of that, there's a song by Luke Bryan that I love. Because I love Luke Bryan. I saw him for free in concert at a Walmart.
I'm not familiar with.
I've heard of him before,
Yeah, he's just a country singer, but you'll look him up and you'll be like, I can't believe we let her in here. She's talking about Luke Bryan, but I do love him, but I also love Will Oldham, who's from, Bonnie Prince Billy, who's from Kentucky.
Yeah.
And so when I first heard that Luke Bryan song, I was like, this is a good song. I don't care what anybody says. Like, I love this song. And then Will Oldham, Bonnie Prince Billy, he covered that song. And I was telling my husband, I was like, see, because he loves music.
Yeah.
And it's like a good song. You can be mad about it. Like you were saying, like you could be mad all week that Luke Bryan has this song out. Luke Bryan is fine. He's got like $500 million and he's fine.
Yeah.
And he's making this music and his concerts are packed. And it's like, whatever. But it's like, I don't know. I'm just a natural lover. And so I really do love all music. And I just like enjoy listening to it. And I enjoy like the culture. And I just don't judge, which freaks people out sometimes, but I feel very calm and free about it.
I like that. I mean, when I stopped judging people for that stuff, it made me.
It frees up more room in your heart. For
lighter. You're like, whatever, and then you don't have to hold yourself to that standard anymore.
Yeah, and you can be like, Toxic is a good song.
Experiences and new ways to kind of people get joy.
Yeah, I mean, hey man, when that Taylor Swift "Shake It Off" song came on the radio the first time, I was like, this is kind of lame, but I kind of really like it. It's cool because it's positive and it's happy. And
let me ask you this, though. Like, when you do hear a Taylor Swift song, like, are you okay with being like, this is not for me? Because I think sometimes you can be like, this is not for me. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay if you don't
definitely.
Get it. Yeah. It's okay. Like, she could be singing to a 16-year-old girl in her bedroom crying about her boyfriend.
Sure.
It's okay if you don't identify with it right now.
95% of music that's on the radio is not for me.
Yeah, there you go. And it's okay.
Oh, it's
you can
totally
turn it off.
fine. I mean, that's the thing is, like, it'll come on, and one of my favorite pastimes, though, is to play bad 90s music with people that are in my car.
Okay.
So I'm driving, I got Spotify, so I'll just be sitting there just driving, and I'm like, hey.
Now, what is bad 90s music to you?
I'm going there. I'm going there, baby.
All that's in my head right now is Spin Doctor.
I was going to say, now see, I was like, I love those songs, but I can see how you can pick those out.
No, but here's the thing. they're terrible, but you know them, and so there's something comforting about that.
Absolutely.
And it's nostalgic because it reminds you of like, you know, being, you know, however old you were. Yeah, being a teenager in the 90s. And I love playing like Smash Mouth.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like Smash Mouth is so awful. But like when I hear it, it kind of makes me happy. Or even like, you know, I'll even go into the early 2000s. I love playing Papa Roach for people in my car.
Yeah.
And they're like, what the hell
Last
are you
Resort?
doing? Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so intense when the opening line with "cut my life into pieces," he says it with such conviction.
He does.
You know, and it's awful, but then it's also awesome because it's such a fucking catchy song. If you listen to it once, that shit's in your head for like a week. And you're like,
That's how it is about like Sugar Ray and like those bands. But it's like I always felt that way because I don't say them because people will be like, oh, and groan. But like when I was in college, that's how it was with Incubus. Like I would turn on Incubus first thing in the morning and like get ready to go to class. It's like it's just not that important to me. Like I'm like, oh, I love this song. He's totally hot. Like it's like it's fun. Like I didn't think about it that much. But I also I totally pad it with highly respected people.
Definitely,
so then when someone wants to come at me and be like, oh, do you know what you're talking
building
about?
your
Like,
rep.
Yeah. See?
Yeah.
let's talk about Sturgill Simpson here for a second. I wanted to bring this up earlier. Was it in 2017 he was up for Album of the Year? Was that what it was?
Album of the Year, and then he won Best Country Album of the Year. Yeah.
That blew my mind.
Yeah.
So when they release those lists of like the nominees, like I don't really care about the Grammys because they're not really covering music that I like.
Right.
So I saw an article online. I was like, let's see who's up for the nomination. I figured it would just, you know, be your typical pop stars. And I go to Album of the Year or Best or whatever the category was, and I'm clicking through, and it's like, you know, it's like Beyonce, Adele, like probably Taylor Swift, Bieber, and I'm seeing all these people, and I'm like, oh, that's how it's going
Typical.
these days.
Yeah.
And then I saw Sturgill Simpson. And I was pretty sure that only like 5 people that I knew who Sturgill Simpson
all from Kentucky.
was. Yeah, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Sturgill Simpson's up against Beyonce for a Grammy? Like, that blew my mind. And what was even more interesting was that they, on the rankings or on the nominations, they have listed everyone that is involved that would partake in winning the Grammy. So it's producers and musicians. And since everybody else was a pop star, there was like 25 names associated with their Grammy nomination. Yeah. And Sturgill Simpson had like 5 names.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it was just like the band and the producer. And I just sat there and I was like, this is amazing. There's no way in hell he's going to win.
Yeah.
But the fact that he got nominated, and I loved that record. I'd been tearing up that record all year long.
Yeah, it's out of this world.
Oh, it's beautiful, and it's all like he's got those songs about like he's writing a lot of those songs to his son, and I don't want to have kids, but I was just sitting there. I was like, man, I don't know if Sturgill has kids. Maybe one day I'll have kids. And even the opening, like one of the opening verses, he talks about. He's like, I should have done this 10 years ago. And I was like.
But how could I know? He's like, how could I know? Yeah.
I'm like, well, fuck, man, am I going to be like 50? And I'm like, I should have done this 10 years ago.
Yeah.
You know? But that's an amazing record. And
it is. It means a lot to me. He means a lot to me. And that was so easy. That was probably one of the easiest things I've ever written. Because it was just, I did not get to meet him, but I did get to talk to him. And I know how much he loves it. And he posted on Twitter that it was his favorite article ever about like staying true to yourself, and he posted a picture of me. It's very, very sweet because I just totally have a crush on him and love him. So then for him to like writing very public love letters, you know, to like celebrities that have like really touched my heart is kind of my kink. So I'll do it, and then they respond publicly, and it's like such a treat. But yeah, he is really, really special to me, and I just love the way he lives. Like, I really appreciate the way that he digs in and does his own thing without obsessing over where people are going to put him or who's going to find him. And, you know, specifically, like I wrote about in there, being a Black woman who writes fiction that's not about race is so surprising. Like, there's not a Black woman on the cover of my book. it's not called Black Whiskey and Black Ribbons, like in a black world, no, it's a book about people. Some of the people are black, some of the people are white. Like, it's chill. It's just about love and grief. And so it is hard for some people, I think, sometimes, because they're like, oh, you're a black woman. Are you writing about this? Or if there's a writer who's writing about a little black girl, well, is she a slave? No, she's not. She's not at all. She's just a normal good little girl who's living now. But I didn't have those books growing up. And so I really look to people who are defying genre, like you were saying. Like, that is so interesting to me, because I can't believe that our brains aren't big enough to hold two things at the same time. Like, I reject that. I reject that whole idea that we're not able to.
It's a false comfort. Like, we want to categorize things, put them in.
It makes me, it would make me feel better because I'm this way and I'm this way. But it's like, I contain hella multitudes. Like, I've always known that. But growing up, before the internet, it was really lonely. Because it's hard to be like an alternative black girl. It's hard to be a black girl who knows all the lyrics to Garth Brooks. Like, it's hard because it's confusing, because white people don't get you and black people are like, what are you doing? It's hard. Yeah. But then, like, I'm so stoked for like little black girls growing up now, because there's the internet and you can look around and there are girls like you. There are so many like goth black girls and black girls who like rock music, and there's so many out there. But when you're in your own little world, you don't know. Yeah. But it's wild that it's 2018. Right?
Yes.
It's 2018. I forget. It's wild that it's 2018 and people will still be confused. So it does not say that it takes place in the black community or that anything about, the people being black, like in the synopsis, because it's completely unimportant. And it's also about a police officer who's killed in the line of duty, but the book is not political at all. It's not. It's just about like people and people living in Kentucky, but it's not grotesque. It's not, what you would think of traditionally people live in Kentucky, but that's so small-minded. Like, I just reject it. Like, I don't even entertain it. I just reject it because it's ridiculous.
Yeah, well, that's great. I think a lot of people, like, especially with books, like, they want to know everything of, like, where they can put it into a square.
Yeah.
Because it's like, so I know what their point of view is. So if it's not a point of view I like, I can just move on to something else.
Yeah.
But it's like, no, you should not know the point of view, and you should be able to just go in and see where it goes.
Yeah. I mean, that's how I do. So it wasn't something that was on my mind, but I'm really not trying to be radical or anything. This is honestly just how I am.
You're writing in a sense like what you know.
Absolutely.
And I find it interesting. And I don't know. I'm conflicted on the idea of labels. I remember, coming up through high school and everybody was kind of labeled and you were a certain way.
That's a high school thing too.
It
Absolutely.
Very much is. And I feel like it's opened up because of things like the internet, like you had said before, realizing that there's all kinds of different people out in the world. But still, a lot of people, I feel like these days, they have to label themselves with certain things. It's like, I got tattoos and I put a ring through my nose so I can only listen to punk rock music.
Right.
And there's nothing that makes me happier than meeting someone that you maybe, you label them in your mind just because that's this human nature. You're like, well, that guy's got a bone through his nose and a bunch of tattoos. He probably doesn't like Garth Brooks.
Sure.
Or he doesn't like the new Kanye album. And then you talk to him and he's like, oh man, I love that new Kanye record, and you're just like, oh shit.
It's surprising. I love being surprised by people.
It's amazing. It's like, that's what life's all about, is it's okay to have all these different flavors and tastes and loves for different things, and you don't have to be put in a box and just go with this way because that's what your friend group does.
Right.
I mean, that makes for
this feels very
people.
Therapeutic. Like, I feel like we're all really like, isn't it better to just like get older and just like to let that stuff go? Like, that's the beauty of it.
You just don't give a shit anymore. You're just like, I don't care. I
mean, I always think like my favorite shows to go to are the ones where I'm surprised by an audience.
Yeah.
Like, there's a doom metal band out of Oregon that I love called Yob. And every time I see them, it's just like, who are these people? There's people in cowboy hats just getting down to like 15-minute metal songs.
Yeah.
And then it's just like, okay, that punk rock guy, it's just like, this is awesome. This is what music and art should be. It should be coming together despite who or how we identify ourselves.
Yeah.
I was on a lunch break with a coworker about 6 months ago. And she lives in the burbs and she rides horses, and her family they're Palestinian, but she's lived here her whole life. So, she didn't grow up that way at all. She grew up in Johns Creek, which is a rich suburb of Atlanta.
Okay.
Riding horses. And we were just driving around, and I was just asking her questions about things and, getting to know her a little bit. And I said, what kind of music are you into? And because I think I had something kind of heavy in the car playing. And she's like, well, I like all kinds of music, but I mean, what you're listening to, I like bands like that. She started listing off black metal bands, like crazy, like worship the devil kind of shit.
Okay.
And stuff that I don't even listen to.
No.
And I was like, how do you know who this band is? And she's like, I had a buddy in high school. We used to go over to his house, smoke weed, and listen to this stuff. And I was like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just
you can't
to like,
tell.
just to judge somebody based on like anything.
Yeah.
It's just it's so ignorant because life is so vast and experiences. You have so many of them.
Yeah.
So I loved it. I sat there and just looked at her. I was like, you're amazing. Like the fact that you're like, she's like, I listen to these bands like sometimes when I'm riding horses. I'm like, okay.
That is wild.
Yeah.
Well, see, my dad's a Southern Baptist preacher and I was raised Southern Baptist. I'm Christian and I grew up in Sunday school. They would show us videos of the music we shouldn't listen
Hell's
to.
Bells?
And I'm pretty sure those bands were probably on that mix.
Oh, God, yes.
I mean, it was like, look out for these things,
Did you watch the Hell's Bells documentary? Did you ever see that one?
I'm really not sure. It really scared me. I feel like I was probably about 9 or 10. But I mean, I grew up on it. I mean, my dad did such a great job of raising me and my brother both, but with being like, raising us in the church, and I've just always loved Jesus. That's been easy for me. But I also like we watched MTV every day too. Like I would roll around on the floor and sing like a virgin before I even knew what that meant. Like my dad wasn't scared of those things either.
Yeah.
So it was like there was so much freedom.
He wasn't afraid of certain words.
No, not at all. And then also he would be listening to Culture Club and George Michael, and like we would, you know what I mean? So it wasn't this really sheltered whatever. And so he's another example. Like his favorite singer in the whole world. So my dad's from Alabama. He was born in 1950. He's a Southern Baptist preacher. He's worked for the school board for over 40 years. And his favorite singer in the whole world is Cher. And it's amazing. Like you would never look at him and think that he loves to go to Cher concerts. And so it's like, that's all I know. Like, just what do you love? Like, that's what I love. Like, that's truly what I like. But, they also would put like Led Zeppelin and some other bands on there that I like absolutely love now. So it didn't change. Like, so I'd be like, I love that. That's just good music. Come on.
I need to find that documentary because
that's what my husband says. My husband's like, that's probably a fire mix. Like, I need to find out what was on that.
Like, what was on this thing? If the Christians are telling you not to listen to it, it's probably awesome. You need to get like.
Some of it was completely warranted, like straight up devil worship, which I'm not interested in at all. But some of it, I'm like, this is just a good song. Come on.
Well, they would say that. I mean, because I remember one of them, like Hell's Bells, which is also an AC/DC song.
Yeah.
AC/DC was on there. I was like, these guys are just like rock and roll guys.
Yeah. Come on.
Did Hell's Bells talk about like the backmasking?
Oh, definitely.
Okay.
They got super. I mean, on the documentary or whatever the hell it was. I mean, I don't even know if they called it a documentary back in the 80s. It was like. They were like trashing like the Beatles and just like basic shit, man. I mean, I think they like trash like the Monkees. Like, how do you like trash the Monkees? That was just like a thrown together pop group to support a TV show.
Yeah.
I mean, I need to find this thing.
Everyone's looking
awesome.
for it. I'm sure it's out there because we watch it every week. I feel like it's really long too because I feel like we watch it every week. So unless it was long or they just played it to beat it, to beat us over the head.
Are you checking to see if you can just?
Oh yeah, I'm sitting here talking about this, and then I realized that I have the power of the internet in my pocket. Hell's Bells Christian video. It just
there you go.
Here. Okay, on Wikipedia, this is awesome. Yes.
Okay.
Hell's Bells: The Danger of Rock and Roll is a 1989 Christian documentary film produced and directed by Eric Holmberg, founder of Real to Real, like the movie Real to Real, like This Is Real Ministries, and the Apologetics Group. Holmberg also produced and directed its sequel, Hell's Bells 2, The Power and Spirit
I must
of
have
Popular
seen
Music.
both of them.
Yeah.
Okay. On like a rotation.
Yeah.
So
just every year.
Every week I'm sitting there like.
I'm going to read the overview real quick. Oh, running time, 185 minutes.
Okay, yeah.
Let's see here. The film examines the relationship of rock music to sex, violence, suicide, drug use, rebellion, the occult, and other activities considered immoral by biblical theology. The film portrays various lyrics and visual imagery in rock music and rock stars as evidence that it is satanic or anti-Christian. It also alleges that perceived hidden messages and satanic backmasking exist in several examples of popular songs and music culture. The music in the documentary was produced prior to the 1990s.
Yeah.
So, man, we didn't get any of the good stuff, but the sequel came out in 2004. So,
Did
man,
it?
we get all the 90s in there.
Okay.
And the Bible doesn't say that sex is immoral.
It
so
doesn't?
see, yeah, no, not at
Oh,
all.
this
The
is-
Bible really celebrates. I mean, so see, and you know, it's hard out here for a Christian because there's so much confusion about it. But absolutely, you know, some of that stuff, absolutely not. Yeah, I mean, some things, yeah, but definitely not like sex in general. No,
Yeah, it's the difference
beautiful.
between Bible versus theology.
Yeah, there you go. But that is definitely what I saw. Probably too much.
This is amazing. I looked at reception. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm like ruining the podcast talking about Wikipedia, Hell's Bells. Reception. Pitchfork Media also reviewed the film, saying that they did see where the film had aged, and since it was filmed had multiple factual errors, but that it also introduced thousands of viewers to Venom, Merciful Fate, and Diamond Galas, artists your standard youth group would never have heard otherwise.
Yeah, that's what my husband was saying. He was like, people are probably going right home to be like, oh, that sounds like the bomb.
that
like,
band was
I want to
awesome.
listen to that. Yeah, they sound
everything
amazing.
I was told not to listen to, I was like, okay. that sounds
seriously.
great.
New favorite band.
Then I'd go home and listen to like New Kids, Little
Yeah.
Amy Grant, Paula Abdul.
Oh, Amy Grant.
Paula Abdul, man. I mean, God, Amy Grant and Paula Abdul. I remember Paula Abdul, and she had that video where she's dancing around with a cartoon cat.
MC Scat Cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know its name. MC
How can you
Scat Cat.
forget that?
What was that opposite? It was opposites attract,
Yes.
right?
It was.
I do remember
yeah.
the video. I don't remember the name of the. It was a cartoon.
That album
You're
had
forgiven.
like
I
7
won't
top
hold
10
it
hits
against
on
you.
it.
Dude, that album was ridiculous.
That was
Yeah.
back when they would make a music video for every song on an album.
Yeah.
Oh. God, you know though, I do this thing where I go down these rabbit holes, and I started looking up videos for Paula Abdul like 2 or 3 years ago. There's one, I think it's Opposites Attract. There's like a 60-second like instrumental portion in the middle of the song.
They used to do that a lot. I feel like our saxophone, like a long
You're like,
saxophone
this is
break.
a pop song.
Like,
You
who
could,
was
trim,
listening to this?
A minute off this thing.
Oh, was it because it was a radio version and they were taking out the rap part? Because that was one of
They
my
do that
favorite
a
parts
lot.
of the 90s.
Oh, the rap part.
They would have two
Yeah, where
versions,
radio
yeah.
would just, like, rap was just evil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just the act of it. So, like, CNC Music Factory would have, like, a 1.5 minute block of just
Yeah.
the beat.
I was hoping we'd end up on CNC Music Factory when I came over here. I was like, if I go over there and podcast and someone doesn't bring up CNC Music Factory, I'm leaving.
I mean, I aim to please. I've got to.
Are they from Kentucky?
CNC Music Factory?
What is that? What's Covington and
Yeah, sure.
what's another sea town in Kentucky?
Corbin.
Covington and Corbin Music
Yeah, I'm sure,
Factory.
absolutely.
No, the CNC was the producers who formed the group.
Like, you know, you're like a CNC
Dude,
music.
did you rock out to
I know
CNC
I'm in the
Music
right
Factory?
place.
I had a CD. Well, here's the thing. Grew up in a religious household. Very strict. I liked the music I wasn't supposed to listen to. So underneath my bed would be all the cassette tapes,
Gotcha.
all taped. And then there'd be dummy CDs out. CNC Music Factory, MC Hammer, things like that. Those were the dummy ones to throw the scent off.
Yeah. Yeah. This is like 7th grade dance in the gym.
It's like you only need the intro.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
once the beat kicks in, you're kind of like, all right, cool. You know, I'm good.
That's like we would dance to that and then like Color Me Bad.
Oh, wasn't that like I Want to Sex You Up?
We would listen to that. I didn't know what any of that stuff meant. I was just like, oh, like the song. Yeah. And I listened to like a lot of Debbie Gibson and Tiffany. Like,
Oh shit.
yeah, I was there. I mean, I still like those songs now that I play them for my kids. They're like, what is this? And I'm like, this was the bop.
Color Me Bad with 2 D's.
Yeah.
I remember hanging out in Aaron Dennigan's basement in 5th grade listening to that, thinking we were cool.
Yeah, you were.
Like a
You
bunch
were
of-
so cool.
Bunch of 5th graders hanging out at Aaron Dennigan's house.
They
like,
say sex in the song.
yeah, you're like, oh yeah, man, I'm so cool. And then you're like, oh man, you gonna put on some Boys to Men? What up?
I still love Boyz II Men though. Like, absolutely.
Like, I'll be like, hold on, just
Don't nobody say nothing
No,
bad about Boyz II
I
Men.
have weird like obsessions. I get some like brain. I get something in my brain about something about from childhood, and I'm like, what was that?
Yeah.
Like was it the what was that? Oh, I'll Make Love to You video was so great because it was basically a video about installing a woman's like home security system.
It was like a woman's fantasy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like what they think is a woman's fantasy. Yeah. It's not, but just like roses and I'll come and fix your house for you. And then,
What the hell? I just remember thinking about it, like a few years ago. I was like, what was that? What the fuck was that video? Like, he was like a home security system guy, like sexing up some woman.
And we were all like,
mansion.
okay, all right.
In the 90s,
Put it in heavy rotation.
anything went in the 90s. That was kind of the glory of it. You know, you could have that, and people were like, yeah, that's cool.
Well, think about it. Like Do Me by Belle Biv DeVoe.
Yeah.
Like a massive song.
Yeah.
So many kids sang, having no idea what it was about.
I mean, no idea.
Is that the Do Me Baby?
In the morning,
Yep.
in the night,
Oh,
whenever you want. He's just aiming to please right there. It's
Yeah.
just like whatever you want.
You can do all kinds of weird stuff. So
After he tells you you're poison, and then it's like, well,
Yeah.
but you can't do me.
I think about the Humpty dance.
I know. I didn't know what half of that stuff was when I heard that song.
This
It
is
was like
so
just a couple
weird.
years ago that I was like, oh.
You're like, you have to be 35 to know what the song means here. You're like, what the hell is he talking about?
I know. I knew it was getting busy in the Burger King bathroom.
That was the line that I was thinking about.
Why is he taking his burger into the bathroom?
Yeah.
That's gross. What's happening here?
Are you taking a dump while you're eating a cheeseburger, man? Anyway, let's, as I digress. So, Leesa, why don't you tell us about your book?
Yeah, I've been telling a lot of people about my book lately, so forgive me if I'm
getting old?
No, it's not getting old. I just want to make sure I do it justice, but I feel like my brain gets kind of fried up. But quickly, I will say it's about a police officer who's killed in the line of duty, and his wife is 9 months pregnant at the time. So that happens in the summer, and then in the winter, when the baby is 6 months old, the adopted brother of the police officer moves in with our girl Evangeline to help her take care of baby Noah. So they're snowed in at the time, and so they kiss. And then the book is told from three different points of view. So we have Eamon, who's the police officer. We hear from him before he's killed. And then we hear from Dalton, his adopted brother, before he's killed as well, and after. And then we hear from Evangeline, the wife, when she's snowed in present day with Dalton. So they're really trying to navigate that really tricky territory of
grief,
their feeling. Yeah, their grief and their their newish romantic feelings for each other. So yeah, and I've written it as a fugue. I've written it as a piece of music. So we have three voices, and then Eamon is killed. So one of the voices drops out. One of the ribbons slips away. So that's what I was trying to do with it.
Wow.
Where were you what inspired this book?
It a lot of different things, really. But yeah, when I was I'm a pretty independent woman. Like, I can take care of myself. But when I was 9 months pregnant and right after my baby was born, it was pretty much the first time in my life that I felt super, super vulnerable. Like, I was like, how would I feel or handle this if my husband didn't come home today? Like, how could I handle my life, being a mama to this little baby without having help? And so I thought about that a lot. I also wrote obituaries right before I had my daughter. So, there was a police officer killed in our city, which doesn't happen very often. But when he was, I was really attuned to the deaths in our city in general. So writing obits, if someone was killed overnight, their obit would be on my desk in the morning, or I know I'd get a phone call that day. So I was really attuned to the deaths in our city in a way I normally wouldn't have been. Mm-hmm. So it was shortly after I stopped writing obituaries that the police officer was killed. And I just remember watching his funeral on TV because it was live streamed on TV, and it really hurt our city. Our city was really brokenhearted over that because he was young and it was just a random act of violence. And I remember seeing his wife on TV. And so I thought about that a lot and just couldn't stop thinking about it, really. And so I wrote it as a short story, and then I just decided to keep writing it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
And it's is it what part of Kentucky is it based in?
It's set in Louisville.
Yeah.
But it could be set anywhere. It's set in Louisville because I live in Louisville, and I wanted to write a book set in Louisville. But
why not?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I just think it's kind of cute.
So, you gonna read a little bit for us?
Yeah, I'll read a little bit. I would love to. I'm just going to read a couple of the first pages. And this is from Evangeline's point of view. My husband Eamon was shot and killed in the line of duty while I was sleeping. I was 9 months pregnant with our son Noah. Me, a full-bellied cashew in our windows open bedroom, our summer bed. Eamon heard the call over the police radio, domestic dispute. He was on his way home to me, but decided to swing by the disturbance since he was close. I think of him making the drive, the gentle, peachy July morning light illuminating his last moments, his last heartbeat, his last breath. The God glow and invisible shadow of death haloing him. The kid who shot him was only 16. He'd gotten in a fight with his stepdad. The kid jumped from his bedroom window and shot Eamon. Eamon's cop buddy Bryan had just parked his patrol car in the grass. He put the kid down. Bryan and another cop came to the house, woke me up. I don't remember walking to the kitchen where Dalton found me, shaking, peeing across the floor like an animal. He came as soon as I called. I don't remember calling, but he told me I did. Dalton had been long adopted by Eamon's parents. They were brothers. Bryan and the cop left. Dalton wouldn't leave me. We cut our hair together the Sunday after the funeral. Finale. Da capo. From the beginning. That was 6 months ago. Noah is 6 months old. He is a living, ticking timer for how long Eamon has been gone. Where did you come from? I ask Noah sometimes. Where's your daddy? But last night. Da capo. Dalton and I kissed. I kissed him. I kissed Dalton. He was playing piano and I sat on his lap facing him. Wine as dark as a dragon's heart was involved. Gold bright whiskey, too. We were nearing drunk. We were waiting at the right stop, and the drunk train was 5 minutes away. Dalton is an exquisite pianist. His mom was a concert pianist, a piano teacher. He can play anything. He played through several songs before deciding on the jangly part of Piano Man, with hilarious gusto because he knows I like it, and Dalton is a natural entertainer. He plays piano as if he's busking for tips and not in our living room, the two of us alone. I say our living room because he lives here now with Noah and me. Last night it was snowing and snowing and snowing and snowing, but before that it iced. I dropped Noah off at my parents' as a twofer. They'd get to spend sweet time with their only grandbaby, and I'd get to have some time off from being mama. On the way home, I got a flat. Luckily, Dalton was driving past and saw me change the tire. But before he changed the tire, I rode with him to drop off a girl named Cassidy who comes into Bee's, the bike shop he owns. Dalton changed the tire, and we came home and made hot chocolate. My mom called, told me the storm was getting worse, and I should stay home because it would be safer for Noah to spend the night with them. Deal. I properly grilled Dalton about Cassidy and whether or not he was into her. He said no. I asked him questions the way only a girl best friend and sister-in-law can, and I listened well, even when I was convinced he was lying to me. He said no, but maybe he meant yes. Grief radiates. Since Eamon was killed, my bones ache with sadness. There is a gritty black tea stain on my heart, every organ. But sometimes. Sometimes when I'm with Dalton. Sometimes when Noah gives me his biggest smile, Eamon's smile. Sometimes the tea stain pales. Even when it's quick. Even when it comes back darker. I still ache for the lifting. How can I not ache for the lifting? Cassidy or any other woman could potentially throw a wrench in that lifting. If Dalton leaves us, if Dalton loves her, if Dalton never loves her more than me, more than us. So yes, I grilled him, and later I kissed him. It was a kiss of ownership. It was a hot, dripping wax seal. The kiss was a lock and a key. The kiss was a creaky gate in the wind.
So, it seems very real. I think that's like when I think about it, I feel like it's like conversations I've had or situations I've heard about before. No, it's one of those things when you're reading, I was like, I can totally see this happening.
Oh, good, good.
So,
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. No, I mean, it's beautiful writing. I really enjoyed that.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. I wanted to, I don't know. I write because I'd like to create these little moods, and I was like, oh, what would happen? You know what I mean? Like, I'll write it for myself. Like, I'm like, what would happen then? That's kind of how I start, like, for myself. So it's cool when it can turn into something like this. I mean, this is beyond my wildest dreams. So I mean, come on, who gets to be a writer? You know what I mean? Like, I remember thinking that, like, because it's like very practical, like get an English degree and then I'll work at the newspaper writing obituaries, because then that's very, you know what I mean?
Yeah, that's the
But who gets
path
to do this? But I mean, I get to do this because my husband has a corporate job and I'm a homemaker. And I mean, he I could never do this without him supporting me and, and providing for me so I can eat. And
well, we're thankful for him too. Yeah. We wouldn't know about this book if it wasn't for him. So
yeah, it's a real treat. We shared a locker in high school, so we've been together for a long time. Yeah. So it's pretty sweet.
Shared a locker in high.
We did. We've been together. We've been together since '95.
You guys are gross.
Yeah.
It's pretty the best possible way.
Yeah. It is pretty gross. So it's really sweet. I would not trade that. It's really.
What's
special.
his name?
Loran.
Loran? Mm-hmm. Thank you, Loran, for allowing your wife to be on our podcast.
Thank you, Loran.
Not that he has to allow you, or you need permission from Loran.
I know exactly what you meant.
You knew what I meant. I appreciate it.
He did drop me off. I mean, he did give me the ride here. So, yes, we appreciate that.
Which I do want to say about that. I think it's so fantastic that, your family's been able to go out on part of the book tour with you. Because just the energy, just the way to recharge, that's just got to be so great.
Yeah, I would just be lost without it. Like, I could get things done. Like, I'm a grown-ass woman. Like, I could take care of myself. But, wow, it would just be completely different. Y'all would have to see me wandering around and be like, Leesa, no. Like, I'd be walking into I would just be so confused. Like, it's really, really helpful.
It's gotta be the dream,
to have them
though,
here.
like, be able to, do this stuff with your family in tow. That's cool.
It is. I try to remember that when I'm really tired.
Yeah. Like, fuck, these people are still here. I think I'm kind of the opposite. The only thing, if I'm out of town, I get done with a long day of work, whatever I'm doing. I'm like, where's my dog? Wish my dog was here in bed with me right now.
See, that's what Loran is to me. He's my therapy pet.
He's your puppy dog.
He is.
Get over here. I want to scratch your head real quick.
I mean, well, I guess one thing I was kind of wondering was, Leesa, names of certain characters like Dalton. Mm-hmm. You've had that name before in other pieces. Did anything kind of stem out?
No. I don't know where I came up with Dalton. I don't know. I don't know where these things come from. I really don't. I keep a list on my phone when I hear something that I think is great, or maybe I can use for later. Mm-hmm. I'll try to steal an idea or a name. I'll try to keep my eyes and ears open. But it's funny because when people do ask me something, I'm like, I don't know. I don't remember.
I always make up names based off people I know. Mm-hmm. And because I've noticed some writers over the years, published and non, they'll just pick some names and I'm like, dude, you were just sitting around. This is a name that you liked when you were in middle school that you wish your name.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be the name. It'll be God, what's a good one? It's
careful not to offend.
No, it'll be Lucas.
Lucas is a great name.
Yeah, but and it's a kid named Sam. He's like, man, I really wish my name was Lucas.
Yeah, with a K. He'd be like, it'd be so cool then. Yeah.
Well, and Lucas, wasn't he the bad guy? What was that 80s movie with Fred Savage about Nintendo? And the bad guy's name was Lucas, and he had the power glove. What was that movie?
California. The Wizard.
The Wizard.
Yeah.
He's Lucas is this kid he was supposed to be cool, but he had a mullet, and he puts on the power glove.
And we all know you can't be cool with a mullet.
Yeah,
right?
he's like, I'm Lucas, and I got the power glove. It's so bad.
So then you write a story with the guy named Lucas.
You're like, man, I wish my name was Lucas. So you're I don't know. I've noticed that my brother does that. I love my brother to death.
What's your brother's name?
His name is Benjamin Carroll.
Oh, and see, that's a great name.
He's got a cool name, and he's an unknown writer. He's one of these days. I think you might see Benjamin Carroll out there.
That's awesome. Yeah,
dude's a great writer, but he always has these names like that.
That's awesome.
I always want to yell at him, like, Ben, just name the guy just give him the name Bill. He doesn't need to have his name doesn't need to be Quentin. Okay.
Yeah, I'll pick pretty country names. Like the first story in my short story collection, the girls' names are Rory and Delatus, and Delatus is an Appalachian name that I love, and I think it's beautiful. I knew a girl at church, and she had a daughter named Delatus, and then I think she was going to name her other daughter Shade, and it's really pretty. They just name their kids whatever they want to name them, and they're these beautiful names, and so I think that's really beautiful. So I will go for country names, and so with this I went kind of for for country names, and Dalton's kind of country for me. I mean, I think some people might think it sounds sort of soap opera-y, but that's not a knock for me because I love soap operas. I'm a lover. I'm like, it's fine. I love it.
Compare me. Just do it. It's like if I could write anything that's half as good as All My Children.
Exactly.
But, I mean,
All My Children was my soap opera.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying?
I just
And
kinda
Passions.
picked up on that.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing about soap operas: whether you like them or not. I mean, those motherfuckers go on for like 30 years.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And it's like human stories. Yeah, it's the same story over again, but it's like adultery, pregnancy, death, resurrection, because people always come back. And so it's like this really fascinating thing. I don't know. I like
I
it.
feel like soap operas are pretty realistic, minus the resurrection.
It's a
part.
lot of resurrection. Like,
Yeah.
no one is ever really dead. Ever. I don't think
Yeah.
anyone's ever really died.
I mean, it's a huge amount of people that fake their death to get away with it.
They do.
I've actually read a book about how to fake. Or well, I skimmed.
Don't
a
say
book
too much.
on how to fake your
Okay.
death.
Yeah.
I didn't read the whole thing, but I was. I like to read about like weird things.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Conspiracy theories and weird
like 2
stuff.
a.m.
Yeah, I was checking out stuff out, and I came across this book. I actually held it in my hand. It was out of Barnes and Noble, and it was about how to disappear. And I was like, I don't want to disappear,
But it's good to know.
But if I needed to,
Just in case.
Yeah, just in case.
this
Absolutely.
book we went chapter by chapter on how to disappear.
That's wild.
And it wasn't so much as to fake your own death, but it was like create distance from you and your family and friends.
Wow.
Don't do it all at once, but just do it
Slowly.
Slowly cancel your credit cards.
It's kind of cool, kind of creepy. Like, it's
Was the
interesting,
book
but
done
it's
by
kind of
someone
scary.
anonymous?
Nah, I mean, I think it was like there was somebody's name on there, you know.
See, because I would call
Yeah.
bullshit. It's like, you can't write a book about how to disappear, and then it's like, oh, that's you.
No, you just have to disappear.
Yeah.
Like the last page is like goodbye. Forever. No, it was interesting though, and I read it and I was like, oh, that's pretty smart. It would be like, close off social media accounts, but don't do them all at once, and still be in contact with people when you initially do it. And then it was pull sums of money out of your bank account gradually,
Okay.
and eventually. If you needed a phone, obviously, I say obviously only because I watch stuff like this, like get burner phones and things like that.
You guys, one of you two, or both of you separately, need to try this and see if it works, and then come back and do a podcast about it.
I'm a marketing consultant, and I am on social media like half the day, and it's
It'd be so
funny.
much harder for you.
It would be hard because I have to be on social media. I mean, I could technically like close out my account and just make an anonymous account to manage other people's
I've
things.
reinvented myself a couple times, so I've kind of done a lot of that.
Yeah.
You need to write your book about it.
I tried.
Okay.
About disappearing or reinventing himself.
About disappearing and reinventing yourself.
If I ever disappear, I'll leave a novel behind.
Okay.
As to when I started and how I did it.
Yeah, there you
about
go.
that?
That's good.
The
That's
guidebook.
actually a pretty rad idea.
It's really not a bad
like
idea.
this.
Don't give it all away.
Last published work.
Yeah, and it's just like this is the last thing, and then bink, and then you come into my empty apartment.
It's kinda
and there's just
beautiful.
a book laying there. I think about it after being so connected to the internet all the time for work and whatnot, and I'm like, what would that be like? And it also, I mean, I think people think about this often, but you go back to 90s, even the 80s. I mean, God, how easy was it just to disappear back then? So easy.
You just don't call from a payphone, and that's it.
Yeah,
No one can ever find you again. That's it.
cancel your credit cards, pull all your money out of the bank, and peace out. I mean,
Yeah, it's a
nobody's
lot
going to
easier
find
now.
you back
A lot
then.
harder now.
I think about it because, I grew up in Florida before we moved to Kentucky. We moved to Kentucky in '89. I was 8 years old. I have gone looking for my childhood friends, and I think I found them before. I've never reached out or anything because I'm like, I mean, that's weird. I don't know. To me, it seems kind of weird to reach out to somebody when I'm 36 years old who I played Ninja Turtles with when I was 7. But I
It
was
could be sweet. It just
could
depends.
It could be sweet. It's kind of whatever. But it's just funny though. You move from a place in 1989, and then you just never speak to people ever again.
No.
You're never.
But
gonna
I
talk to
guarantee
them.
you they're thinking about you too. That's the thing. I guarantee you've crossed their mind, and they'll be like, I wonder what he's up to.
Yeah, I remember that little asshole I used to play Ninja Turtles down the streets doing. Yeah.
Wonder who that guy always bought VHSs out of the trunk of his car. 16 is doing.
The 80s were great. If I had a time machine, I would get back to the 80s.
I think everybody would probably for a little bit.
Walk around.
That's why we watch Stranger Things. That's why we watch those, you know, because you're kind of like, oh, remember? You know, if we were back there, you'd be like, this sucks. But we like to think about it.
Yeah, there's no
Kind of like malls.
Yeah.
Exactly. I think that's a great.
How's that for a callback?
I think that's a great way to bring it home. Is referencing malls again. Hey, well, before we go, what was your all's favorite store at the mall?
Well, I really liked Claire's because I bought like a lot of earrings and nail polish and
jelly bracelets
and stuff. I loved that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I really did. And then when I got older, I really loved like Bath and Body Works and the Body Shop.
Oh, yeah.
A lot. And then like you'd go there to get.
Path.
I mean,
the spray. I feel like my girlfriend in 9th grade wore like it was
When
called
you
like
smell
Moonlit
it, you
Path.
remember. Yeah.
I loved the Body Shop, and then like we would go there and get sneakers. Like that's where, because Target like has cute clothes now, but they did not back then.
Yeah.
Like you had to go to the department stores.
Wow.
You had to go to the mall. It was calling you.
Favorite store, Matt? What'd you have?
It'd probably be the Sam Goody.
Oh yeah, it's the record store.
Well, yeah, because around the time when like the parental advisory stickers first were like, they were actually enforced.
Yeah,
Where like you actually had to show like an ID to buy albums.
yeah.
The manager at Sam Goody, he was just like, nah, I don't care.
That's awesome.
And then Spencer Gifts to look at posters.
Yeah.
You guys had like Spencer Gifts. Yeah.
I wasn't
it had
looking
the
at
things you put your
posters in
hand on,
there.
like lava
Yeah.
lamps and.
I was looking at like the stuff that I shouldn't have been looking at.
Oh,
Spencer
okay. See, I
Gifts.
was a good girl. So it's interesting to do this with you guys because I was a good girl. You guys were clearly the bad boys.
I was actually a very good boy. I was a very good boy.
His halo just went ching.
I was so good until I was like 21.
Okay, there you go.
I was super religious and I
Okay.
had a lot of guilt. But no, even then I was just like, what's that over there?
Yeah.
What is that? What's going on over there?
This is the mall. This is the Wild
Something
West.
about sex over there. My favorite store was I liked the dollar store.
Mm-hmm.
They had a dollar store in the mall, and we used to play. Me and my friends in the neighborhood, we'd go to the mall. We'd play this game. It was, what can you buy for $5?
Okay.
And the goal was to go in there. We had a lot of games at the mall.
Yeah.
This was one of them. Go in there and buy the weirdest shit you can for $5,
Mm-hmm.
and then come out and then you compare. And I mean, I feel like everybody won. You know, it wasn't necessarily a competition, but
Yeah.
it's like,
We're all
what can
winners.
you get?
What was
And
the best thing you got with your money?
I believe that I bought one of my items because I would buy, literally, this was one of those dollar stores where everything literally was $1.
Yeah.
I think I got spy glasses. They were like the sunglasses that had the mirrors in the corner and you could like see who was behind you. I feel like, and then there was just like stupid toys, you could just like buy like whoopee cushions and crap like that. But
Magic tricks. Yeah.
I remember getting the spy glasses and thinking those were pretty badass. I could use a pair of those now every once in a while. Just walking down the street, make sure who's following
You never
home.
know.
Yeah, I love where this conversation is going. We've gone all over the place. Talked about your book. I'm curious though, where can our audience pick up Whiskey and Ribbons?
I mean, everywhere. I know that Acapella has a lot here in town. And
Amazon.com?
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah.
And my publishers are Hub City Press, and so you can definitely get it from there. And, Barnes & Noble, any of your indie bookstores. And if they don't have it, you can ask for it, which is really sweet and awesome because they would love to have it in stock, especially if they hear that you want it. So,
Definitely.
So everywhere, which is so cool. And like I said, a wildest dreams. So.
That's amazing. Well, we will also link to it. So if you're listening, we will link to this in the blog posts for all things Leesa Cross-Smith. So you can follow her on the internet and buy her book. And we're even going to start a GoFundMe for her for being awesome. just give her money, So, well, it's been so awesome having you here. It's another Kentuckian in my living room. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule while you're here in Atlanta.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're very
We're your
welcome.
first stop.
Absolutely. Yeah, you are. You are.
Shit.
So thank you. Thanks for having me.
I think there's a tornado outside right now.
It is supposed to storm later.
Yeah, so I don't hear it. I was a little concerned, but anyway, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yes.
Good luck with your week in Atlanta.
Thank you.
And to everyone listening, don't die dumb.